we have to go inward and we have to invest in ourselves first. But who am I? What do I enjoy? And I think when we start to invest in ourselves and we really get in touch with that, we really start to value ourselves. That's the first step. After you go within and really get clear, I think we also need to be clear on it, what it is we really want. I think part of the repeating is not realizing that we are actually attracting things we don't want. Big thing is space in between relationships.
Today's guest is Darla Ridilla, a certified somatic trauma-informed relationship coach who helps high-achieving women stop shrinking themselves in relationships and start showing up as their full, unfiltered selves. After decades of looking successful on the outside while secretly navigating toxic partners behind closed doors, Darla broke free from emotional unavailable partners, codependency cycles, and the lie that she had to tone herself down to be loved. Today, she helps women who are done being told they're too much, too intense, too emotional, too successful, reclaim their power and stop settling in any relationship that demands self-abandonment. Whether it's a partner, boss, friend, or family member, Darla shows her clients how to set radical boundaries, trust their inner wisdom, and build connection without sacrifice. A dramatic speaker, published author, and host of You Have the Power, The Road to Truth, Freedom, and Real Connection. Darla equips women with the tools to stop proving and start choosing so they can create relationships that honor the powerhouse they are. Welcome, Darla.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here today.
It's so exciting. I mean, this is one of the topics I really want to know more about because just reading out your bio, it actually has a lot in it in itself.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of women and even some men probably can relate, probably a lot, but hey, probably can really relate to that. So, with that said, what is one of the most courageous things that you have done?
One of the most courageous things I have done is moving back to Colorado in March. That was a huge power move for me. It goes back into my story of I was married to a narcissist and divorced him and had to leave Colorado because he was stalking me in 2014.
Wow.
And yes, that dynamic hasn't changed. I haven't heard from him for quite a long time. Hope that remains the same. He's still in Colorado, to my knowledge, but I decided that I love this state so much, and I was giving my power away by staying away, and I kept moving from state to state because I couldn't find my heart home. And so in March, I just packed up my stuff and came back.
Wow. And that really is courageous because you never know, perhaps it is, perhaps it's not in the back of your mind. Will you walk into him in the same street one day?
It is.
Yeah.
It is, and I will have to mentally prepare myself. We are living in different sections of it. I chose a Durango, which is quieter and about 5 hours from Denver, but there's always that possibility. But you know what? I can't live my life on what might happen. I have to just live it.
Yeah, absolutely. So what took you on your journey of being a somatic trauma-informed relationship coach? Was it from your experiences? But before I go into that, let's just unpack what is a somatic trauma-informed relationship coach. I mean, I know the relationship coach part, but somatic trauma, if anybody doesn't know what that is, let's just unpack that first.
Yeah, absolutely. I do forget that there was a day when I didn't know that either. Somatics is our nervous system and our body and how we react and store our memories and our trauma. So our mind will store memories. They're a lot easier to release, but our body is like a record and a needle, and it kind of records it. And particularly with trauma, if we don't unearth that, feel it, give it space, it is going to stay in there. And what is happening mostly on a subconscious level is it's driving our behaviors and our decisions. And I had a
Mm.
lot of trauma growing up, and of course, being in the abusive marriage. And somatics is learning how to hear our body, and it talks to us in sensations,
Mm.
whether that's, we don't feel heard. So our throat might feel tight. It's different for everybody. This is my body speaking. My throat's tight, or my chest gets really tight, or my stomach will flip when something's out of alignment. Whereas if it's in alignment, or if it's for me, my chest will buzz, almost like a vibration, a good feeling. There's just differences. I'm actually learning more and more to hear the quiet whispers of my body. I'm That's something I didn't really learn, and I'm focusing on now. But anyway, when we're more aware of our bodies, it's easier to recognize what's in alignment, what's not, if you're dating, what the red flags are, and getting that full body yes or no is easier to detect. And real quick, the trauma informed piece of it is that I found in my own experiences that a lot of licensed therapists, very good therapists, but they didn't have lived experience in narcissistic abuse, and they were re-traumatizing me. So
Mm.
trauma informed is coming from a space of, I want to help you heal. I want to help you process, but I don't want you to relive, rehash everything that's ever happened to you. I want to come and meet you in the middle and help you process this in a way that works for you.
Wow, that's quite a lot there, but it's so in detail, and I think a lot of people can relate to that. It is
Hmm.
so like it's so good to have all these experiences yourself, and then you can go on, like you say. Some people don't actually; they haven't walked their talk.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's so important to me that I am the same person on and off camera. I really,
Mhm.
not that I don't have moments where we all just kind of blow and, but for me, it's, I'm combining the certification and my lived experience, and very authentically telling my journey. I just
Mm.
had something last week happen that was completely out of alignment with me, and I didn't catch it for a while. And yeah, I had a meltdown.
Yeah,
Those things happen. But,
absolutely.
right? That's the healing journey. It's up, it's down, it's a roller coaster. It's not a destination. It's an ongoing process.
Absolutely. And there's no end goal. We're evolving every single day,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's nice to know it's who we are being every single
Yeah.
day. It's about us. It's not outside of us.
Yeah.
And I think once people actually take more responsibility, you really get to understand that.
Mhm.
Mm.
Mhm. Yeah, and the other thing is why I am so authentic is because I think a lot of people, healing is hard. It is hard work, let's be
Yeah.
honest. But it feels unattainable. And I'm not knocking the gurus. They're great, but sometimes that makes it like, oh my gosh, they seem so perfect and so together. And while I'm getting it together, no, I am never going to achieve enlightenment. It's just not happening. I want to show you this is what healing really looks like. If I have a post up that's really angry, maybe I shouldn't have been so darn angry, but I leave them up because this is what real healing looks like.
Yeah, definitely. And why do so many people feel unfilled in their relationship, even when they've done all the work on themselves?
Hmm. This is what I'm finding. So I am that woman that's always been told her whole life, you're too much, you're too this. I've had a lot of men in particular in dating experiences that have been really intimidated. They're very attracted to my exuberant personality, but on a day-to-day basis, they can't seem to handle it to maintain that, and they actually get intimidated. And I've had that in all sections, not just dating, but all
Absolutely.
relationships. And what I have found is that as women, we're becoming more independent. We're coming into our own. And this is like a time like we've never had. We have our own money. We have our own rights. We can live our life on our terms. And it's also given us the ability to also develop more personally. We have more time. We have that freedom.
Mm.
And we're upping our game, and now I'm talking specifically about dating. And the and I'm talking about heterosexual relationships because that's my experience. I'm finding that men, particularly middle-aged women, are not, as a whole, not all, but as a whole, are not. They're kind of stuck in this kind of old patriarchy of it's always
Mm.
been this way. Why are you changing things up? Or you've got the other kind of lazy side of it of, what do you mean you want me to pay for a date? Or what do you mean you have your own money and you don't need me? Or I want you, but I don't need you. That's I think it's hurtful to their ego and they don't know what to do with it. Some are gonna realize the dating pool is changing and they either have to change with it or be left either alone or with whatever's left over. Because my dating pool's gotten smaller. And as more women come into these realizations, I think men are really gonna have to get more in touch with their feminine. They could still be masculine.
Mm.
I want my man to be a man, but I also want him, like, Matthew Hussey or Jay Shetty, to have that sensitive side, to be able to be an equal, to not be intimidated by my wealth and success, to want to be a healthy partner.
Absolutely. And it's that finding the needs coming from the heart. It's not
Mhm.
just like, dictating either.
No. Yeah.
So, yeah, absolutely. There is a big difference there. And some people, they'll take being in charge all the time. And some women do as well, not just men. They're in
Mhm.
charge all the time. They don't know how to step down. And that's where relationships differ.
Yeah,
Mm.
I have to say in my first marriage, I was very controlling. And it was a backlash because I had no control over my life as a child. So, man, I married was used to men or women controlling him in his life. And so we fall into these patterns. We marry our
Yeah.
parents without realizing it. And I was. I yelled a lot. I told him what to do. And I don't do that anymore
Mhm.
because control is fear and you can't hold on to something tight and keep it, I've realized.
Mm.
And you've probably heard of the let them theory by Mel Robbins. I speak of it often. And that's what I live my life by. Okay, you want to be like this? I can share with you that doesn't work for me. And this is what I need to stay in friendship, relationship with you. They can choose, but based on their choice, I'm also going to decide whether or not I'm going to continue to participate in it.
Mhm, mhm. Absolutely. For someone who feels lost or unsure about their relationship, what are the first steps to take?
If someone's unsure, I would really kind of take a step back. Get quiet, get alone,
Mm.
whether whatever works for you, whether that's meditation and journaling or just really thinking about it, starting to get in touch with your body. When
Mhm.
I am with this person or when I'm not with them, because that's also been my barometer. What is my body saying? Am I feeling anxiety? Is there chaos? Am I feeling uncertain? Am I confused? Because something that's meant for you doesn't come in confusion, it comes in clarity. Whether that's no matter who or what, it could be a parent, it could whatever. Am I confused and why? Are their actions and their words matching? That's really just the basics. Just get a feel for that. When they say they love me, do they treat me like that? When they say they respect me, do they show me that?
Wow. And it's so true, isn't it?
Hmm.
So true. So why do this is like, the $1 million question. Why do smart women keep attracting unemotionally unavailable men? Yeah, and it's not just for heterosexual, it's for gay couples as well. I've seen
Yeah.
that time and time again. So why is that?
I think as women, no matter what role we're in, we are taught by society to be small, quiet,
Mm.
not to be heard, that we can't be too big. Like the whole thing about the children be seen but not heard. And I think that we've also been taught to give away pieces of ourselves and then we lose ourselves. I think often we don't even realize we're doing it. We don't realize we're playing small. And there is this feeling of wanting to be accepted and loved.
Mm.
And this is where the single on purpose avenue also comes in for me because I want a partner. I would love that. I'm lonely, but I'm not willing to compromise what I really want anymore. And I think that's what women have done is we've wanted that love, and we have been sold a bill of goods that we have to conform to get it.
Mm, absolutely. Yeah. So, how can one stop repeating the same unhealthy relationship patterns? I know we briefly spoke about that earlier. So, how
Hmm.
can one do that, or at least start to do that?
I think we have to go inward, and we have to invest in ourselves first.
Hmm.
That was my path. 2 years ago, I read the book Single on Purpose by John Kim, and it really woke me up that I really don't know who I am. I know what I do for a living. I know what society says I am. I'm a mother, I'm a daughter, but who am I? What do I enjoy? And I think when we start to invest in ourselves and we really get in touch with that, we really start to value ourselves. That's the first step. After you go within and really get clear, I think we also need to be clear on it, what it is we really want. I think
Mm,
part of the repeating is not realizing that we are actually attracting things we don't want. Big thing is space in between relationships. For years, I didn't do that. I was always in a relationship, getting out of one, getting in another one. And I didn't take any downtime to really evaluate. I'm not responsible for other people's behavior, but what was my role in accepting that? Why was that person even attractive to me beyond the physical attraction? What else was going on? Am I replaying something from my childhood because I had a crappy dad and I didn't have a relationship with him? Am I trying to fill that void? What is that? I think we can't break the patterns till we really get real with ourselves. And that's a really uncomfortable place to be. But the discomfort of having
mm,
one relationship after another, same situation, different person, I think is far more on the long term uncomfortable.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. And I mean, I've seen it in some friends. They just can't be alone. That's,
Hmm.
one of my next questions,
Yes.
but I will ask you about that in a moment. When does one know to stay and when to walk away? That's tough. I think sometimes,
Hmm.
and I've heard it again with some of my friends, they do say, "Oh no, I'm sure he'll change. There's going to be a situation. He's going to wake up and realize, what he's got," and it can be really debilitating.
It is. And I think it's different in every situation. And
Mm,
it is really hard, particularly if you've been in that relationship for a really long time and you've
mm,
invested a lot into it. You don't want to just walk away because what if he can change? We have to really get straight with what is potential and what is reality.
mm,
If this person, so I'm going to give you an example of my last relationship, what happened. I was very much in love with this person. We weren't together that long, but it really seemed like there was a lot of alignment. And I really honestly, in that moment, thought he was the one, like, oh my gosh, I've been working for 12 years for this. This is it. But then patterns started to show up. And how I knew it was time to go is because when I tried to address that, he was defensive. He would shut down. He would blame. Couldn't have a conversation with me. So at the end, I still wanted to really support him. Unfortunately for him, because of my psych background, I knew what was going on. He was a dismissive avoidant. That's a whole other discussion. But
mm,
basically, he was afraid to be himself because in the past, being himself or being loved meant pain.
mm,
I knew he was up for a hard ride, but I said, here's the deal. I love you. I care for you. If you will go to therapy at least twice a month, and there's no barometer of you have to fix XYZ by this time, but if I just see that there's effort, real effort putting into yourself in this relationship, I will stay. If you're willing to change, not for me, but for yourself and work on yourself, I'll stay. He chose
wow.
not to. And so I think that's one of the things we have to look at.
Mm,
The other thing is, there are some things for me that are no brainers. Abuse, whether that's mental or physical, and that it continues. Cheating, those are immediate deal breakers for me. But beyond that, it does get muddy. It is hard to know. Really evaluate the pros and the cons. Once again, how do I feel? Do I feel anxious and unsure more than I feel
mm.
sure and calm? Those are just starters. I hope that helps.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Because, like, my next question is, what would you say to someone who knows they're meant for more in a relationship, but feels stuck in fear or doubt of being on their own? And I know people like that. They'd rather be in the relationship that isn't healthy, isn't going anywhere, but they're too afraid of being on their own.
Yeah, I know that person. I was her at a long time ago. And as long as you're not willing to be alone, there's nothing that can change that.
Mm,
So I recognize the fear. The fear is very real.
mm,
It's a scary place. It's it's not easy being alone. I'm in that right now. I've been single since the end of November. It's been a long 9 months. And it's not a comfortable space. But that person who's really terrified that hasn't reached that level yet
mhm,
really needs to think about, is the pain of where I'm at greater than where I'm going? How can I go through what sometimes is even an addiction? I think sometimes our relationships are addictions. How can I find source? How can I find help? Because don't do it alone, first of all. We can't. Find a counselor or a therapist or a support group that can walk you through that, who can talk you down in those moments when you want to go back. Because this is the hardest thing, is to not go back. Because that was my pattern before as well. Let's give them another chance. I
oh,
overreacted. But be willing to be uncomfortable, because you're
mm,
gonna be. There's no magic wand. There really isn't. If you're willing to be uncomfortable, if you're willing to say, I may fall down, I may go back, or I may call them, and I'm going to have grace for myself, but I'm going to say tomorrow's day one and start over. Just start, just start working towards that.
yeah, that's really good, actually. I think it is getting to know yourself as well.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Yeah. So you help women that are being told they're too much, too intense, too emotional, too successful, reclaim their power. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, so these are usually, and these are women of all
Mm-hmm.
walks of life. But I just focus on the high achieving women
Mm-hmm.
because I was an executive assistant for years. I ran executive offices. Had a lot of leadership skills. I was really good at what I did.
Mm-hmm.
But you leave the career and it doesn't always transfer. And being in a man's world and working with executives, my opinion sometimes was not always appreciated. So women that really are very high energy, very successful, very driven, we're that woman that's not afraid to be alone. We don't like being alone, but we're willing to say, I'll wait it out. That yeah, that you're taking up too much space. Your opinions are too loud. You're too intense. I'm an extremely intense person. And I'm not for everyone, quite frankly. I'm just not.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm finding I'm less and less as we go on. But there are a lot of us out there that we want more out of life than society says we have a right to or should. And really empowering that woman to say, it's okay to be me. It's okay if people don't like me. And I'm going to be myself. It's not my job to manage other people's discomfort.
Yeah.
And whether that's friends, family, or romantic relationships, I have a right to surround myself with people who can handle that. And if they can't, I have a right to remove myself from that situation and look for other places that can hold my fire.
That's like really interesting because that is the case, isn't it? If you can't even be yourself, then what is your life all about?
It's just an act.
Mm,
It's just being someone we're not.
mm,
And I have to say, it's been something that's been in progress. But last week, I hit a really hard wall. I hit that I've been trying to embrace my future self, this powerful woman. And she showed up last week. And yes, it made some people extremely uncomfortable,
mm,
but I realized it's okay. I am allowed to take up space. I'm actually allowed to lose it. I want, like, in that moment, I needed those people. I was very upset about something, and I needed those people in my life to say, I'm really uncomfortable right now, but I'm going to sit in that because I know right now what you need is just to be heard.
mm,
This isn't a pattern. It's a pattern recently because you're going through something. but this isn't a permanent pattern. This is because you're changing and evolving, and I'm here for you to walk you through it.
Absolutely. And that's really the key there. Sometimes we are uncomfortable. You have to see what's behind that mask
Hmm.
as well.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, like you say, we put on all these different layers so that we can be fit in.
Right.
Yeah.
And I've realized I've been trying to fit in my whole life,
Mm,
and I don't. I
mm,
just simply don't. It's okay to be who I am, and it's okay if people aren't okay with that. We
yeah,
have to, no matter what it is in our life, we have to say, this is me, accept me or don't, love me or don't.
absolutely. And it's so true.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're not going to be for everyone. And, that's the way it works as well. That's what makes
Hmm.
the world work.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
So you are the host of the podcast. You have the power. Tell me more about that, Darla.
Yeah, this is actually a super special day, Anita, because I actually, as officially today, renamed the podcast. It started out being about trauma and narcissistic abuse recovery because that's my lived history. Still
Mhm.
is, still will talk about that. But I kind of rebranded a little bit today, and now it is You Have the Power, the Road to Truth, Freedom, and Real Connections. And this is really about encompassing everything. It's really focusing on that woman that's too much, maybe the woman that's in a relationship and not sure, or maybe she's single on purpose, or maybe she's having issues with her family or friends. But it's all about all those relationships, not just the trauma recovery per se, but how can we show up healthy? I just did an episode last week on being a better parent. And I realized this so fits in because we're mothers too, many of us.
Yeah.
How can we show up better for, or even I have a grown child and a grandchild. How can I show up better for him? Yeah, it's really honoring, I think, all different aspects of women's lives and
Mm,
how we can be powerful. We can still be feminine, but how can we show up as our best self?
absolutely. Look forward to listening to that.
Awesome.
So, what is one of the most important lessons you've learnt over your life so far? Yeah, if you
Yeah,
can
so
choose one,
many.
definitely.
I think it's really about overall, when I look at all the narratives and the messages I was given as a child, it was more than you're too much. It was you have to earn love. If you don't earn it, you won't get it. You have to fit
Mm,
into a mold to get it. That I'm inferior because of who I am, or if I don't fit in with what society asks of me, I won't be loved. And I had to learn that no matter how my parents raised me, that what they told me wasn't true. I had to decide for myself what my truth was and live on that, and that I do deserve love, and that I don't have
mm,
to do it like them. I don't have to believe religiously like them. I don't have to take on the same narratives that they did, the generational trauma, really, that was passed on. I don't have to carry that anymore.
mm. Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. And that's really brilliant. And like you said, you don't have to, you know,
Hmm.
and that's really good to embrace that for sure.
Hmm. Yeah, I really think it's been the base of, because I did take that on, all the
Mm,
relationships that I did get into. This is why you talked earlier about the pattern. This is why I kept attracting emotionally unavailable men, because that's what I felt I deserved.
definitely. Yeah. Because there's the whole, conversation we can have about what we deserve as well.
Hmm.
Mm.
Yes. Yeah.
If there was one key takeaway you want every listener to walk away with today, what would that be?
I would say no matter where you are in this stage, whether you are struggling to be alone, whether you are about to be alone, you are alone, we all have a journey, and it doesn't look pretty and it can be messy, and just have grace for yourself. It goes back to what
Mm,
I said earlier about that day one, that we're going to have good days, we're going to have bad days. You're going to go 2 steps forward, 1 step back, or maybe just a baby step. Don't worry about how small those steps are or how many times you mess up. Just focus on, I want something better in my life. And what can I do today to get just a little bit closer to that?
So where can the listeners find you online, your podcast? What's your website, Darla?
That is highvaluewoman.info. And it's got all of that. The podcast, my social media, anything that you are interested in finding out about me is all there.
That's excellent. And the link will be in the show notes. So please do check it all out.
Your experiences also don't define you. I've had a lot of traumatic experiences over my lifetime. And I've had to accept that they happened to me, but then I had to come to the realization that they happened for me, that I'm not stuck in this box of whatever it was, the trauma, that I can actually use that as a learning experience to do better in the future.
Thank you for sharing that and your honesty. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for sharing your insightful wisdom and knowledge with us today. And by doing so, you have helped so many others and made a difference. I really want to acknowledge you for that. Darla Ridilla.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Oh, it's been my pleasure. We are all about Create the Courage to Be Fearless podcast here. What is your definition of courage?
My definition of courage is really what I said earlier about no matter how many times you quote unquote do it wrong or fall down, just get up and do it again. What is that old saying? It's not how many times you fall, it's how many times you get back up. That's courage.